she tries to get up, and he says, like, really low so that nobody could possibly hear, "If you get up, I will tackle you." That's terrifying. What the fuck? But then he makes it all better for me, Melody, because he makes several blowjob jokes, okay? And that's hilarious. I'm Melody Carlisle.
And I'm Sabrina Bradley.
And this is Heaving Bosoms. This is the podcast where best friends recap romance novels and other kissing media that makes us swoon, snark, and refills our cups.
Whether you've read the book or are coming in blind, we'll lay bare every delicious scene and revel in the tropes and subgenres that make romance amazing.
All right, listener, strap in and strap on. Headphones are highly recommended. Hello. Hi, Sabrina.
You have your chocolate now.
I have my chocolate. I found the chocolate.
Mel's only going to get perkier and perkier as this episode goes along.
I have my chocolate. I have my 3 beverages. We're ready to rock and roll over. I've read the book 3 times. It's a whole thing.
I'm not going to lie. After our conversation on Sunday, I'm a little shocked that you read this book 3 times.
Yeah. No, I hear that. Okay, but let's wait.
We'll get there. So
we have ish to do before that.
Yeah, because guess what, listener? Mel and I hung out on video chat with her sweet baby angel for
my
hours
5-year-old
on Sunday while I just watched them decorate cupcakes.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I got to demand how many eyeballs went on the cupcakes.
I was so happy at how much you two weirdos bonded over eyeballs.
Like, she'd be like, "Okay, Sabrina, how many eyeballs on this one?" And I'd be like, "Let's do 11." And she's like, "Yeah, that's scary." And I was like, "Yes." Like, I remember at one point I was like, "Give me the most Cthulhu-esque horror you can make."
And she showed up.
Oh, she sure did. She made some terrifying cupcakes. And it was beautiful and it was everything. And one day the 2 of you are going to come visit me.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to make cupcakes.
Actually, Valor has asked me about that no less than 6 times this week. And
are you serious?
Yeah. And they were in the back seat together on the way to school on Monday. And it was so funny because I hear from the back seat, Valor go, "Embo, did Mom tell you about the trip we're taking?" And Ember was like, "No. No. What trip? What's happening?" And she was like, "Mom and I are going to go visit Sabrina." And he was like, "I want to go." And she was like, "I think you cannot." And he was like, "What? Why?" And she was like, "Okay, you can. I will ask if you can." Because she's still in that place where, like, she doesn't really speak in contractions at all. It's hilarious. And then she fully listed all the things that you two decided to do on the phone. She was like, "We are going to eat cake. We are going to make cupcakes. We are going to draw. We are going to, what was the other thing? Oh, we're going to play with her doggies. She has 3 and Emble. If you want, you can talk to her about math. I will too. Sabrina loves math."
Oh my God. Mel, I am at such an emotionally fragile place in my life right now.
I'm sorry.
It's so emotional. We haven't even started the podcast. And this book had me ugly sobbing last night at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me how much Ember is like loves
Valor.
me.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, Valor. Sorry, I'm getting all the names mixed up.
No, you're fine. No. so cute to listen, though, in the back. She had the whole itinerary ready.
Oh, my God.
Truly. And she was so excited, listener, because I let her run away with my phone so that she could give Sabrina
I got a tour of the house. And it was the best tour in the whole world.
Oh, my God. My favorite
It was mostly stuffed animals and a bathroom and also mom and dad's room.
All I heard from downstairs was her go, and this is my mom and dad's bed, and this is their mountain of blankets, and this is me jumping on their bed. And then from downstairs, I was like, Valor. And she was like, yeah. Oh, okay, Mom. She immediately stopped jumping.
I was very proud of her because, initially I was like, heck yeah, jump on that bed. And
I know, you're a bad influence.
She was like, yeah, let's do it.
People barely meet Mom Melody, but she's strict.
And it was super, I think my favorite part of the entire tour of the house is I didn't actually see anything.
No, you couldn't.
Because she was just aggressively moving the phone around. It wasn't until she climbed up on, so she was showing me the bathroom. She was like, and this is the bathroom? And this is the toilet?
That's her favorite thing. Anytime she can talk about toilets or butts or poop,
Yeah. Well, and then she was like, and there's a mirror up there. And I was like, well, let me see you. And she was like, okay, hang on. And she went and got a step stool and she popped up and all I could see was the very top third of her little face poking over the bottom of the mirror while she held the phone up. And she was like, look at us.
That's honestly adorable. Holy shit. I missed that part.
Us, Valor. Look at us. It was honestly, we have touched on it in general, but I'm just going through a really rough time right now. Yeah. And honestly, that was exactly what I needed on Sunday.
It was amazing. Well,
hours. We hung out for hours.
Yeah. And I felt so silly because I missed that part of the pandemic, apparently. I didn't really set up, family chats or let's bake bread together or whatever that other people were doing. I think just because I was very, focused on all the things and I couldn't, I don't know, I guess I just didn't have the bandwidth for it. And shit, I lost out on a bunch of socializing I could have done during the pandemic.
No, it was beautiful because y'all were all over the place. And meanwhile, I just got to sit in my chair.
Yeah.
I didn't have to move. I was so involved.
Sabrina was not stepping on sprinkles. She was not doing anything.
Girl, that kitchen cleanup must have been
it was
heck of a thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's what I signed up for. She talked me into making cake. That's what I signed up for. Okay.
Listener, the cake looked so good. And my biggest regret about Sunday. So the whole point of this, listeners, I have so much shit going on right now. I am so fucking busy constantly.
Yeah.
I almost stopped by the store yesterday on my way home from work to buy all of the things I needed to make cupcakes from scratch last night. And it was by the very skin of my teeth that I did not do it.
For the record, I do not make cake and cupcakes from scratch, okay? I am a fully box lady. I press the easy button on that shit, and I don't even think about it.
Of those two options, that would have been the smarter thing to do. Yeah. Instead, I did the smartest thing.
Yeah, the smartest one.
And I just didn't do any of it.
Yeah. You just went the fuck home.
Yeah, I just went home.
Oh my God. Okay. Hey, we have patrons that we have to shout out, and I'm very excited about it. Yeah.
We're doing it from the very beginning.
Oh my
We're not
God.
10 minutes into the podcast. Look at us.
This is not Melody coming in post at 45 minutes and copy and pasting. So I want to say, hey, thank you for joining, for supporting, for being part of the community, and welcome to CLKJ and RSS,
to Leah S. and Sophia K,
Samantha and Olivia M,
Veronica and Stephanie M,
and Robin K. and Emily.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much.
Can I just tell you something? This is so random.
What's up?
And this is such a hard cut, right? You know how some names just make you think of something?
Yeah.
I don't know that I will ever not think about Veronica's Dragon from the IPB series, or I think it's actually Ice Home, every time I hear the name Veronica. I don't know why.
Interesting.
She's gone through so many names. There are so many names that could be deeply associated. Like Georgie. Nope. I don't think about pee-pee. I don't think about pee-pee. But Veronica, for whatever reason, I don't think about Veronica Mars. I don't think about any other Veronicas.
Was that your first of her dragon books that you had read?
No.
Oh, no. You had already read all the other dragon books, too.
I read all of the other dragons.
All right, fair.
I don't know why. Anyway.
That's fine. Okay, listen.
I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this book.
I liked book. I enjoyed book. I liked book. And I just want that out for the record, okay? And I also want it out for the record that I'm going to be a big, giant hypocrite over here, okay? Especially if you listen to our episode on Death's Obsession right before you listen to this one. I'm going to be a big, giant hypocrite because genre matters. Subgenre matters.
Okay.
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 I really liked book, though, and I read it 3 times, and, like, I really loved them by the end, you know? Like, I bought them at the end, but throughout this book, I had my danger hackles up the whole time. I was like, it's Danger Town over here. Like, guys, I don't know.
Well, so I forget, had you finished, you hadn't finished book when we talked on Sunday, had you?
I think I had. Yeah.
You had? Okay, so I hadn't finished book, listener.
Right.
And Mel and I had, like, you know, some kid-safe chatter.
Sure.
About book, which, to be clear, this is not a kid-safe book. Like.
No, it's delightfully not a kid-safe book.
So horny.
I will say, though, listener, that at one point I was trying to have kid-safe book chatter, and Sabrina looked me dead in my beautiful face, and she said, I'm going to be honest, Mel, I love you, but I am here for Valor and cupcakes. I got totally shut down, and I loved every moment of it.
I love you, Mel, but I was not there for that on Sunday. I was there to put eyeballs, to direct eyeballs on cupcakes, okay? But listener, for you to understand, Mo was like, I don't know how I feel about this hero. I don't know how blah, 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 and all of these things. And I was like, bitch, stop. I am on chapter, like, 6. But also, like, I could see the flags. You know what I mean? Like, I was far enough in the book that I was like,
yeah. Okay, listen, we start in the prologue when our heroine, Joss.
By the way, listener, this is On Dublin Street by Samantha Young.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those books that, like, I really enjoyed reading it, but then I looked into the rest of them, and I was just kind of like, I don't think I need to series dive. You know what I mean?
I'm on chapter 5 of the second book.
Okay, so you were into Jo. She hooked you for Jo in book 1.
It's not so much Jo, it's that Samantha Young hooked me with the way that she writes.
Isn't it gorgeous?
I also, because I'm in that place of my life right now, sometimes I just need to be forced to cry.
Totally. I feel like Samantha Young, that's one of her love languages.
And I feel like this is the series that I need right now to have a good cry on the regular, right? So anyway,
speaking of crying,
in the prologue.
Yeah.
And immediately, so she's in class. Our heroine, Jocelyn, is in school. She's 14 years old. And then she gets called out of class and finds out that her parents and her baby sister died in a car accident.
Her entire family. She has one, like, distant uncle in Australia. She's currently in Virginia, USA. And, like, she's immediately an orphan, like the most ultimate orphan I think one can be. And then basically we cut to 8 years later, chapter 1.
Specifically, just because this hurt, right? Like, there were so many times that this book reading something hurt. And she says, 1 minute I had been sitting back there where it was warm and safe. And in a matter of seconds, in the crunch of metal, I was someplace else entirely.
Yeah.
And it was just a really beautiful description of a really horrible thing.
Horrible. Yeah.
Now she's in Scotland, as you stated.
And it's 8 years later. That means that she is, wait for it, 22. She is a recent college graduate. She graduated 1 month ago. What? Oh my God, I wish I'm going to put that face on social media. I'll tell you that much.
Oh my God, Mel.
What?
I'm a creepy old woman.
Oh no, why? Oh no.
You said 22 and it reminded me of what happened to me today.
Oh no, Sabrina, oh no. Are you on a list somewhere now?
No.
Okay.
So, I am a sucker for a pretty face and a tattoo, okay? I pull up to the Take 5 car wash in my town because I have a fucking bird that has decided nesting in my carport is the best place to nest, right? Okay. And so it shits all over my car. And I was like, bird. I need to go get this taken care of. So I was like, let me go do this. Explain to me why there were humans standing there. And it's because they're upselling their unlimited car wash thing, right? Like it's a monthly payment and then you have unlimited car wash. That's fine. A very, very pretty man with some very sexy tattoos.
Okay.
Came and was like, hey, and like chatted with me and like all of these things. Meanwhile, I look a hot mess. Sure. My car is a hot mess. It's covered in bird shit. Like I am on the phone with my best friend. Okay. Mm-hmm. This pretty man with the sexy tattoos. Somehow I left Take 5 with a monthly subscription to unlimited car washes.
No fucking way.
He just was like, by the way, and he was definitely young, like early 20s, right? Which is what made me think about it. Cause like that's a youth. Okay.
Sabrina, they got you.
And he just had a nice voice and he'd be like, so are you interested in this? And I was like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. And he just walked me through the whole thing. I didn't have to do anything. All I had to do was put my card out the window and he just took care of everything. And he was like, oh, do you have a pen? I'm out of, let me go. I'll have him go get a pen. And I was like, no, I got a pen. I'm a pen lady.
I can make this so convenient for you.
So then I grab a pen. Yeah. Let me make it convenient for you to somehow I feel like I got conned.
You did. So I get the pen, it's a fact.
And I sign up all of the things. And in my head, I was just like, okay, get one more car wash and it pays for itself and then figure out how to cancel this. I have no idea how to cancel this. So anyway, so all of it's taken care of and he's like, I just got to put a sticker on your windshield. And I was like, oh, perfect. Thank you. And meanwhile, my friend is in my ear the whole time because they can hear all of it. And they're like, Sabrina, don't do it.
Stop.
Sabrina, you don't need. Sabrina, come on, man. Like we're figuring out jobs right now. You do not need to be signing up for unlimited car washes. So then it gets worse.
No.
It gets so much worse. So I was like, awesome. Thank you
so much.
Thank you. And he's like, here's your card. And I was like, yep, that's mine. Yeah. Like, thank you. I leave. I start immediately talking to my friend. Again, I was like, I'm just such a sucker for a pretty face and sexy tattoos. I have a problem. I'm so sorry. Like, it's just who I am. I'll figure out how to cancel it. Like, I'm explaining all of these things because I have headphones on. Well, we'll get there. Hang on. I get up to the thing, right? And this guy, and immediately I'm like, oh no, it's another pretty young person with sexy tattoos. And I'm using the tattoos to know that they are not children, okay? They're simply youths, okay? They have to be above 18. There's no way you have that many tattoos when you're under 18. Shut up, Mel! I cannot live with myself if they're not over 18, okay?
They're over 18 presenting, for sure.
That's worse. Something about that phrasing is worse. So then I get there, and and I know I'm talking loud right now because guess what? I have headphones on. So he comes up and starts scrubbing to like preemptively get the bird shit off of the thing. I am so bedazzled that he's like, your car's in neutral, like all of these things, your car's in neutral, all of these, and I'm just like, yeah. All of these things. I was like, yeah, totally. Yeah, I got this. Meanwhile, I'm talking to my friend and I'm like, what? Like, Take 5 knows what they're doing. This is a nightmare. All of these attractive youths with pretty faces and sexy tattoos. Like, what am I so? Well, of course I'm going to get talked into buying a blah, 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 blah. And I'm talking to my friend. And then I say, it's just not fair. They've got to be over 18 because of how many tattoos they have. But they're just, my God, they're so beautiful. And then the man scrubbing on my hood
I'm so excited.
looks at me, smirks, raises his eyebrow, and then starts scrubbing harder. So he's really popping those muscles. And that's when I realized my car is not soundproof. I am practically yelling into my headphones about all of the sexy people employed by my local Take 5. And when he does that, that's when I realized that he heard everything. Because I'm yelling at my friend in my headphones, and I'm looking a hot mess. I burnt shit all over my car. And then it gets worse. So then I'm horrified. I'm hiding my eyeballs, right? I'm hiding my face. I'm like, I literally could not look up. And I'm talking to my friend. Now I'm whispering. And they could still hear me, because guess what? Headphones are good at that. So I am like looking down, literally shielding my eyes with my hands. And I'm like, oh my God, they heard everything. They're going to talk about me in the break room. I'm just the creepy old lady that came to Take 5, got conned into an unlimited car wash thing, and then immediately objectified the shit out of all of the pretty people that work here. I'm a monster. And my friend's laughing hysterically, by the way. Laughing hysterically. And then he goes, and I hear him through the car. Because guess what? It's not fucking soundproof. No! He goes, all right, we're gonna get started. And I was like, I'm still looking down. And I'm like, sounds good, thank you. And he's like, it's in neutral. And I was like, guess what? It was not in neutral. It was a park. So it tried to like shove me forward. And he's like, is everything okay? And I was like, oh my God, it's not in neutral. I'm so sorry. And he's like, it's fine. Here, go ahead. And then like, he helped me get it all figured out. And then now I'm in the car wash, right? I'm getting the whoosh, 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 whoosh. Like my windows are completely covered. I'd already picked up lunch. So I'm like talking to my friend, shoveling food into my mouth out of this styrofoam box. I get to the end. I am shoveling food in my mouth. Shoveling. I get to the end of the car wash. It washes my car with water, and then I see movement as I'm shoveling food in my face, and the second hottie is standing right fucking there, just looking me dead in the face. And I was like, so I just like finished my bite.
Yep.
And I put the food
daintily
down.
I bet you finished that bite daintily.
Oh, that's the opposite. Yeah, I finished it like a feral animal, okay? And just like finished shoveling this food in my mouth, and then I just looked straight ahead. I looked dead ahead of me. You were just dead-eyed after that. Because as it's slowly inching me forward through the drying part of it. Meanwhile, he's just standing right there, and I'm like, I cannot look. I can never go back.
That subscription is not going to pay for itself because you can't go get another car.
I can never go back. I need to move. It's a good thing I'm already planning on moving, but I have to leave my town, okay?
You know what? Here's what you do. You put on some glasses and a mustache. Okay?
So I told my friend, I was like, what if the next time I go, I just flip my nose ring, I put on a different pair of sunglasses, I put a scarf over my hair, very a la like the 50s in Audrey a convertible. Hepburn. Yeah, exactly. And just like, I don't speak, because guess what? I never have to open my windows again because I have the thing on my windshield that means that it automatically just lets me through.
I did a spit take.
Yeah, so you talking about her being 22 made me think of that.
Frankly, I'm so upset with you right now because you almost didn't tell me that story.
I totally forgot about it. It's been a long day since then, okay? Like the day started off hot, it got hotter, and it just never stopped, okay? Like, oh my God, I can never go back. Except, you know what?
Yeah, you can.
One of my other best friends, I told them the story, and you know their response?
What?
They were probably delated. Ruin those babies.
That's right.
And I was
ruin
like,
them.
I am not picking up the Take 5.
I mean, you're not actually going to
do...
No, you're not actually going to like engage with them in the real world outside of your car.
To be clear, if I met them at a bar, I would.
Mm-hmm. Yes. No, you know what I was going to say?
Because guess what? They're old enough to go to a bar.
That could be factual. It also could not. No, you know what, Sabrina? Going back is feminism. Okay? Going back is a feminist action.
I don't know why I thought I could take a hit in that moment. Like, I should have known that you were about to drop some real knowledge.
Yes. Okay? Going back is feminism.
It is fiscally responsible and feminist.
Yeah, fiscal and responsible and feminist.
Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. I've been convinced. I will keep you updated. I can never go back.
You
I need to figure out, or I could go to a Take 5 in a different town, right? Like, so this works.
But then the gas to get you there will...
I might be willing to spend $6 so that I do not have to acknowledge the consequences of my action.
You know what? If you can't go back, you can always send a friend in your car. You can be like, I need you to help me with an errand.
Well, so I did tell one of my friends, I was told one of my friend who lives in town, and she's like, oh my God, give me your card. I want to see the hot car wash people. And I was like, you know what? We'll go on a little field trip sometime.
Yes, power in numbers.
Except knowing my luck, at least this time I won't look like I'm talking to myself. I had tiny earbuds in, okay? As far as this man is concerned, I was just sitting in my car waxing
yourself.
How you guys.
I didn't even think about that component.
Yep, yeah. Because I wasn't over the car speakers. It wasn't over the car stereo.
I'm obsessed with you.
So anyway, Justin's 22.
Boy, is she. Oh, that's where we are. Yeah, we're here to do a real thing here. Wow. All right, Jocelyn's 22. She just graduated from college, and she's looking for a new apartment. When she's apartment hunting, across the way, she's like, oh my God, there's a cab. And so she goes to grab the door handle of the cab, but instead she doesn't grab the handle. She grabs a man hand.
The suit.
And then she looks up the man hand, and it's this bespoke suit probably. And it's a hot man, okay?
Oh my God, immediately identified as a sexy man.
Yes.
Like, wowza.
Yeah, and he does the same thing. So he says in a Scottish accent, because we're in Scotland, we're in Edinburgh, everybody. In a Scottish accent, he says, how about we just take the cab together and not spend the 10 minutes deciding who needs it more? And she's like, she's thinking about it and getting into the cab at the same time with his hand on her lower back. And she's just like, did I actually agree to this? I don't know, but here I
exactly what's happening. So then she gets in there, and then we find out immediately that the suit has a girlfriend. And he's like, I can still look. Just because I'm off the market doesn't mean I can't look. And then as she's about to get out of the car, he's like, but what's your name? And she's like, I have two of them.
No, he says, do you have a name? And that's important for her rejoinder, okay? Do you have a name? And then she says, in fact, I have two.
Mm-hmm. And then she just
Sabrina
disappears.
Saying I have two names.
I get it, okay?
In response to what's your name?
After telling you my car wash experience.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you didn't think I was a dick. Like, I'm not.
No, it's important. It's important. But you want to know what else is important? Just literally everything except what happened today at lunch.
You know what is important, Sabrina? Do you see the sheen on me? I think we've officially hit summer. Oh, am I sweating?
Oh, yeah, I see the window.
I fogged up the window.
You're pulling a full Titanic.
I am. Oh, I say. Okay. And yeah, she says, in fact, I have two. And she leaves to his deep chuckle. Mm-hmm. She's like, oh my God, the suit. Yeah. So then she goes and she meets Ellie. And Ellie actually answers the door in a monocle and...
Ellie, I am so distraught that we don't get Ellie's book because we see Ellie's romance.
There technically is an Ellie book, but it's a novella, and it's while they're together, and he is going through her journals.
No, I don't care about that.
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. So I think the blurb is something like he gets to see how close he was to losing her forever or something like that.
Okay, I say I don't care about that. I'm probably falling down the rabbit hole and will immediately be reading everything Samantha Young has ever written. So, whatever. But anyway, so she meets Ellie Carmichael, and in my notes say, I'll bet money that the brother who gave her this apartment is the suit from the cat. I Sherlock Holmes so many things in this book.
You did. You did, yeah. I didn't
so
even
proud of
think
myself.
about it, but I was like, if it's a Richie Rich, I bet he can afford a bespoke suit, is what I thought to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And she like talks a bunch, and she's like, Ellie she's a sharer. And so she's like, yeah, my brother is wonderful, but he has these terrible girlfriends, and this one is the worst. And like, he has these arrangements.
How fast a person like Ellie and I would trauma dump and be best friends?
Oh, yeah. Oh, same.
Like, Ellie is my catnip for making friends.
Same.
It'd be a problem.
Yeah. The moment somebody makes me feel even the slightest bit comfortable, I'm bad at small talk. And so I just say everything that's important and trauma.
Do you want to hear about the
whatever.
trauma in my childhood and how it's affected me today and why that led to the car wash incident?
Yeah. Do you? Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
She, however, Joss is not like that. Her whole deal is, I don't let anyone in because you lose everyone. And she wants only to have like casual acquaintances, and they say that she's
Even
very
her-
self-possessed.
Even
Oh my
her
God.
best friend, Rianne, like they both have traumatic things that have happened in their past with their families. No idea. They've been best friends for 4 years and they've just never discussed it.
This is, I have to say, justice for Rianne. # justice for Rianne. Because
That's a mood.
what the fuck?
Because to be clear,
Rianne is just taking cues from Joss.
Joss.
Yeah. And so instead of being like an overshot, like here's the thing, listener, by the end of this book, by a third of the way into this book, Ellie is Joss's best friend.
That's what I was going to say. Okay, I wanted to comment about that at some point. Do you know how
years?
Do you know how obliterated emotionally I would be
Justice for
if I was
Rianne.
Rianne? And I found out that my best friend Joss is like sharing her whole life with this brand new flat. We lived together for like 3 or 4 years. What the fuck, Jocelyn?
Justice for Rianne. And like, spoiler alert, they're still friends in the epilogue. So like, I guess she's fine with it, but I would be a mess.
I don't know that I could ever recover.
I would be a mess. If I came into town and one of my friends was like, I can't meet you for a quick coffee because my actual best friend is mildly uncomfortable and I feel like I can't leave them for like 8 minutes, I would be like, oh, we're not friends anymore. They're just done.
Yeah. Well, and like, to be clear, it's not like Joss does shit
No!
to disenfranchise that thought. Like, what the fuck?
And it's not like Joss does shit to like actually help or be, like there's no reason for Josh to be at Ellie's side for all of those minutes,
Oh my God.
Justice for Rianne.
So, anyway.
I'm sorry.
So we zippy zap. Jocelyn.
Wait. The one thing I will say, though, is that I've never identified more with a character than her deciding that she will pay whatever amount of money she has to live with that bathtub. All right?
I'm very seen by that. Because so we do, in fact, zippy zap to her in this incredible bathtub. She's taken a bath. It's like a week later. And then when she gets out of the bath, Ellie's not home. And she's like, oh, shit. And she, by the way, leading up to this is, I feel this so hard.
Yeah.
She knew Ellie wasn't in the house. So she just dropped trow and got naked in her room and then like naked sauntered to this beautiful bathtub.
Yeah.
And then she realizes, also a mood, she forgot a towel. And she's like, oh, that's fine.
There are usually towels in the
home.
bathroom.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh no, there's not a towel in the bathroom. It's fine. I live here now. Nobody's here. I'm just going to walk to my room.
Okay. I have bing boom bong.
Please. I have so many bing boom bongs in this scene, but I think they're going to be different. Please.
Who the fuck are you to walk into this apartment?
Okay, it is the same.
Who the fuck? Because she walks out of this bathroom. Bing boom bong.
You thought it was sexy when we talked the other day. This is why we don't talk about books in the past.
It was sexy, though.
Okay.
But also, I have problems with it.
Okay, so you're conflicted about the sexiness.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he's just standing there fully suited.
The suit is there, and she's buck-ass naked. Dripping dripping all over the hardwood floors. I don't know how she didn't trip and fall and die running to her room.
So one of my big issues in this book is boundaries in general.
Oh,
right.
Boy.
And so I think that at first I was like, ooh, but I was also only like 6 chapters in. And then by the end of the book, I was frothing at the mouth at how he just tramples
all over the place.
All of her boundaries.
All over the place. Okay, listen. This is where I'm going to become a hypocrite, all right? No, first, Bing Boom Bong, renter's rights with Melody.
Yeah. Right? I don't give a fuck if your sister lives here.
No, okay, here's the thing. He is the landlord. He still owns that building. That is not Ellie's brother coming into that flat. That is the landlord illegally entering a building without the permission of the tenant who has signed a lease, and it is legally their property in that way. They are allowed to be in there, and they give whoever permission they want to come in. But like, as a landlord, you can't. At one point in this fucking book, they're in her bed. And
Melody
she's like, I am so mad about this. Okay, they're in her bed and she's like, okay, so like you're not staying, like you're not sleeping in my bed. And he's like, yeah, I'm absolutely sleeping in here. And then he says, 1, I bought the bed. And 2, like sometimes I wake up and I want to fuck or whatever. And like the power imbalance of, okay, it's not a flex to fucking buy the bed in a furnished apartment, okay? That was your fucking job. That was literally something that you were supposed to do. In a furnished apartment, that was your fucking job. That doesn't give you more rights here, sir, because you don't own this bed right now.
Melody
I rented it
feeling
with my fucking money and my fucking signature
right now
on a goddamn lease. And like, you know, that's not how this works at all. Oh, I was so mad. And so here's where I become a hypocrite, okay?
Is it because you loved it?
No.
Oh.
No, not a single moment in this book did I love that component of their relationship and his absolute arrogant, just assholery. I become a hypocrite because the reason that this bothers me so much, like on the face of it, it's a bad.
This is why you referenced Death's Obsession.
Yes. But like it becomes bad. Like it becomes something where my head explodes because of some of the following components that do make me a total hypocrite. 1, there is an 8-year age difference between these two people.
Okay, I did not 22, clock that until
30.
Way later in this book. Like it was not until the last like 5 chapters when it said explicitly an 8-year age gap, and then I was like, oh, I've just whimsied.
Yeah, you whimsied hard. Yeah, she's 22, just out of college. He's fucking 30. He's like the power broker of Edinburgh because he like owns all the stuff and he, you know, controls all the restaurants or like what the fuck ever, right? And so I feel like Samantha Young tried to mitigate some of that by making her like, you know, well off in the sense that she has a big inheritance. She doesn't have
to work for her money. She just does to get out of the house. And and so she also feels weird using her family money, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
I feel like she tried to mitigate that by being like, no, they both have money. It's fine. But that didn't for me because he's so established. He's so known. He's so much older. The power dynamic is fucking bonkers. And meanwhail, in Death's Obsession, boy, was I perfectly fine.
Literal death. Literal death. And
thousands of years old, do you think?
Millennia, Melody.
Millennia years old?
Like, multiple millennia. He's been around. Oh my God. Okay, so I just had this conversation with people, though, about how, like, it's acceptable in a paranormal. There are so many things that I can
subgenre matters.
I can just ignore in a paranormal or a fantasy or whatever, and then you bring it into a contemporary, and, like, this is where it kills me. Like, this bathtub scene is a great example because on one hand, I was enraged.
Oh, so mad.
About how he constantly broke her boundaries, but also
totally fine with Death stalking this bitch.
Oh no,
and
but like my God,
gaslighting her about what's real and what's not.
Brayden's just so sexy.
Yeah, Okay, sure. Yes.
And I hate myself for it.
And you know what? I feel like Samantha Young does do a really good job of having, at least for a reader like me, she does a good job of like making the heroine call him on his quote unquote caveman antics.
Loved that. I think that's why I was okay with it. Is that the heroine didn't just roll over for it. She was constantly calling him out on his bullshit.
Yeah. And like,
not that he listened.
Yeah, that's the thing. I still haven't decided whether or not he took it into account. You know what I mean? Like in some ways he really did.
It was just
but in some ways
one ear and out the other.
I don't know. I'm still conflicted about it because he's so sexy.
Yeah, that's a problem. I'm so sorry. I'll whimsy a lot.
Yeah, because wow, when we get into the sexiness of it, okay, she comes out and she's naked and the suit is there and she's like, oh my God, he's a stalker. But then she looks over and like he's in a picture with Ellie and she's like, oh no, he's probably the brother. And which he explains, yes, I'm the brother. That's why I have a key to the house.
What incredible detail-orientedness, because I would never have noticed that. Right? I would be so fucking panicked.
I would be 3 feet off the ground in panic. You know what I mean?
Clinging, because you know that there's like exposed pipework in the ceiling of this kind of place.
Absolutely.
I would be clinging upside down like a naked human bat, shrieking from these beautiful faux pipes coming out of the ceiling, just upside down, like titties just everywhere.
Oh,
okay,
yeah. Titties whacking you in your face.
What? Mm-hmm. Like it'd be a nightmare.
Yeah, so she goes and gets dressed, and then they actually have a few, like, some really hot banter.
Well, she's naked, ma'am.
No, but then she gets dressed. Like, she does spend an inordinate amount of time naked. She spends much more time naked in front of a stranger than I would be able to.
Yeah, like, ma'am, there's a door you can lock behind you.
Right? I would have leapfrogged back into that bathroom so fast. Or like just sprinted down the hall and slipped and fallen and then slid into my room. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, Mel, I can see that so clearly. Yeah. So anyway, they end up having like some flirty banter back and forth. She's like, you have a girlfriend, what the fuck? And then it's just kind of over. So we zippy zap.
Yeah, let's zippy zap. She works at a bar on Thursday and Friday nights. And the rest of the time, she's a writer. She's trying to write a fantasy novel at the moment. She will then switch to writing. And then, I'm sorry, listener, this really should be spoken about later on, but I have to say it right now. I'm very sorry. She decides to write a contemporary romance about her mom and dad.
So she works at this club. And this is when we meet Joe. And we're not going to talk a whole lot about Joe because it really doesn't matter for this.
It really doesn't matter.
She is the heroine.
The only person that matters in this entire bar is Craig. Okay? Oh my God. That's the only person I will allow us to talk about.
Craig?
Everybody else can go fuck themselves. Craig gets a book, and I might read that one.
Craig gets a book? Even though he moves to Australia?
Yeah, he gets a book at some point.
Oh.
I don't know about him moving to Australia.
He does. It said at the end of the book. Or no, it was like it might be the beginning of the second book. Okay. If you don't remember it. Yes.
Craig either gets a book or a novella. Okay. And I'm so into it because every single shift he's like, hey, so are you going to shag me in the bathroom? And like he's always coming on to his coworkers in like kind of a jokey way, except he would totally do it if they said yes.
Yeah. 10,000%. Like he's like, haha, yeah, let's go shag in the bathroom. And then if she'd said yes, he'd be like, oh my God.
Bells on. Zipping into that.
Yes. This is going to be a fully cock out bathroom experience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess every bathroom experience would be a cock-out experience, probably.
If there's a cock present, maybe. I don't know.
For Craig.
For Craig. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, okay.
Anyway.
So he's there and he says, do you want to shag in the bathroom during your break? And she's about to answer, but she she sort of record scratches in her brain. And then from over her shoulder, she hears Ellie say, well? And she turns around and she's like, oh my God, you're here. And she brought her brother and her brother's best friend, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
And she figures out in this conversation that Ellie definitely found out about the naked meeting. Oh, also, I'm so sorry. The part of the sexy banter right after she was naked was how he hadn't been able to stop thinking about her after they met in the cab. And her response to that was, oh, is that while you were at dinner with your girlfriend? And he was like, Anyway, I'm so sorry.
Important context.
Yeah.
So Joe immediately starts flirting hardcore with Brayden, and everyone, it's like all just a hot mess and a little bit uncomfortable. And then Ellie and Adam are like, okay, let's get out of here. And Brayden's like, hey, but then he like leans over the bar and like he asks her what her bra size is.
No, he says D's, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, what? And then she figures out that he's talking about her bra size. And she sort of sputters, and he's like, yeah, and walks away.
That's
and
what
she's
I
like,
thought, and then leaves.
I never get the last word with this dude, and I hate it. So now she goes to the gym because she's having writer's block with her fantasy novel.
Which, like, that fascinates me. When I'm having the equivalent of writer's block, I'm not working out.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just different strokes for different folks, man.
Right, different flavors, you know? Like
so she ends up, I don't even remember what.
What?
I'm sorry, Melody. What? What did you just say?
I said different flavors, like with those used tampons, because I was thinking about Death's Obsession, the episode we just did, in which I accidentally said that different flavors were for people who maybe got used tampons or maybe didn't. Do you not remember this happening? Listener, I just edited this, so it's much more fresh on my brain. But we did record it 3 weeks ago, I think. So
I have no memory of this. Also, I was actually talking with somebody just the other day about this, how it used to be that after you and I finished recording, or I finished recording with you, it didn't really matter. If I was recording something that was going to be out in public, I did have moments where I would just like relive part of it constantly, because I'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. I can't. So I've gone the exact opposite way, which means now we finish recording, no memory. Not a single fucking memory.
If I didn't edit.
No memory.
Anyway.
So she ends up having a panic attack at work. It's her first panic attack while she's working out. Yeah. And it's her first panic attack in years. And then she gets helped out by this like hot gym guy. He comes back a couple of times. It doesn't matter. Specifically,
she gets a panic attack because as she's sort of mulling over her writer's block, she can't stop thinking about a romance heroine based on her mom. And she starts reliving actual moment-by-moment memories that she experienced with her mom and like her mom and dad's relationship. And that's what triggers the panic attack. She realizes that like she doesn't really let herself remember them in that sort of detailed way. Yeah, because
she hasn't fucking processed them.
Yeah.
And the loss. Which like...
And it's really funny because I was the exact opposite. I had no problem doing like memories of my dad specifically, but I could not have a picture of him anywhere around me for like almost 8 or 9 years.
Really?
And then I finally got to the point where it was like a big day for me that I pulled out a picture of my dad and I put it on a shelf or whatever. But I would have memories of him. And of course I would a lot of times end up grieving or crying or, you know, doing whatever when I did. But what was really triggering for me was pictures and pictures of us together.
So it's like the exact opposite of what's going on here.
Yeah, because Joss has pictures of them out and she's totally fine with that, but she cannot remember them or she goes into a serious panic attack.
Yeah. So after all of that happens, so she gets home. She and Ellie end up talking about like last week, blah, blah, blah. But in this conversation, justice for Rianne.
Yeah.
In this conversation, she immediately drops the dead family bomb to Ellie.
In Joss's defense, okay, you're not going to hear me say this a lot. In Joss's defense, she thinks that literally. She's like, it was like 6 weeks before I told Rianne that my family was dead. And like, I'm doing it on week 2 with Ellie. So I feel like she knows, you know, but still.
See, that's one of the things is, and this makes me feel horrifyingly seen in a way that makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
Okay.
Is that Jocelyn is deeply self-aware of how fucked up she is mentally.
Yeah.
And then she just keeps doing it.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, yeah, this isn't great. This isn't healthy. But also like...
Here I go. That's the way I function. So Ellie ends up talking her into going out with like their friend group.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a couple of friends plus Adam plus Brayden plus his current girlfriend Holly, who everyone hates. Except for Brayden. Except maybe Brayden also hates her.
Wow, Holly.
Holly, babe.
We all know a Holly, but like read the room.
I don't know a Holly, I don't think.
You've never met a Holly?
I bet I've met one, but I don't know her.
I can think of several people just off the top of my head.
Wow.
Like,
I run in different direction from people like a Holly.
Yeah.
Everybody will talk about something and then she'll be like, oh, babe, did I tell you this story specifically about me and my friends that's tangentially related to what they're saying out loud, but it's only about me and I'm only talking to you, not the rest of the group? Yeah. Oh, she's the worst.
Yeah, that's basically how the entire dinner goes, frankly.
Yeah.
Then later, Joss is taking a bath again. Boy, that girl loves a bath and I love her for it. Ellie ends up coming in with 2 glasses of wine.
Yeah.
To chat with her. And this is when Joss finds out that Brayden dumped Holly. Ellie's
basically,
like,
right after the dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wait, really quickly, I didn't want to do this because we really needed to motor, but it was very important at the bar. She goes up to the bar and nobody can see them because it's like behind a wall. And he follows her. He starts talking to her and like for the first time, he's not just like oozing sex at her. He's actually interested in like what she does or whatever. But then he does start oozing sex at her. And she's like, hey, this is not going to work. You're my roommate's brother. I really need you to like, yeah, you have a girlfriend. I really need you to get serious about like not talking to me like this. And he says, okay, I can do that. But the way that he says that is, I can pretend if you can pretend. That there's not this like magnetic animal attraction between us. And she's like, I'm not pretending. And then they go back to the table. But and then he dumps his girlfriend immediately because let's get rid of one more obstacle between him and Joss. I almost called her Josh like Holly did.
Oh, I don't remember Holly doing that. I did like it's rough calling her Joss because my voice to text was not happy about Joss, but it was fine with Jocelyn. And so I've been, for all of my notes, I call her Jocelyn. But like, to be clear, listener, she does not like to be called Jocelyn. She likes to be called Joss. And Brayden constantly calls her Jocelyn.
And like won't stop.
And it makes me want to punch him in the face, even when he explains why. Because guess what, buddy? Chosen names are a thing. And you need to fucking respect it.
Granted, I think this was written in like 2015, maybe.
2013.
2013. Okay, so like, meh. But still.
I'm not gonna lie, when I saw when it had been written, a lot of things said
things made sense. Yes, agreed.
So anyway, zippy zap, she has been essentially bullied by Ellie into going to family dinner on Sunday, and it's time to go do that. And
she has a panic attack there.
Well, apparently Joss didn't expect Brayden to be at family dinner when it's been stated multiple times how close he is with his family.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like you said, while she's at dinner, she ends up having a panic attack because this reminds her of a family dinner that she had with her family when she was a youth. Not a youth, a child. I can't call
a child. A confirmed
child.
Absolute presenting child. Okay?
A youth is anybody over 18 who is young, right?
And hot, baby.
God damn it.
Okay.
So anyway, he ends up taking care of her. It was super sweet. He like calms her down and he's like, come on, let's go back to dinner. And I think she needed that in that moment.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't really calm her down. She does that herself, but
he's there.
Yeah, when he comes in, he's there. And he also is just like, do you feel better? Because he can sense that like she doesn't want to talk about it and she's not gonna talk about it. And that is one of the most relieving things for her. That takes so much pressure off of her. Mm-hmm. And when they go back, because she's like, what am I going to say to your family? And he's like, don't even worry about it. You don't have to tell them anything. And then he covers for her and says like she had heat stroke or something. Mm-hmm. So that was huge for her.
Yes. And then she gets home, and we didn't talk about this, but justice for Rianne. James, her boyfriend, they moved down to London together. That's why she even had to find a new flatmate. And he proposed to Rianne. They've been together for years at this point. Mm-hmm. And she said no.
And broke up with him.
Dumped him. Because she's like, but I'm like you, Joss. I don't need anybody.
She has been so head-fucked by this friendship.
I know.
Oh, my God. And so James is on her doorstep. And he kind of comes out, emotionally swinging.
Out swinging.
Yeah. Not literally swinging, but emotionally swinging. And he says, did you have a hand in this? And Braden, gets up and he, tries to get between them. And he's like, whoa, back off. And she's like, no, you misunderstand. It's fine. Please go on to drinks or whatever. And she takes James into the house after Braden grabs her phone, puts his number into her phone, and then hands it back to her and says, if you need anything, call. So she takes James upstairs and she says, hey, no. When Rianne called me, I was confused and I told her I thought that she had made the biggest mistake of her life. You're the best thing that's ever happened to her. I don't know what's going on with her. And I'm sorry. He says that she's all fucked up because of her parents' relationship. They were divorced. There was abuse. There was all the business. Mm-hmm. And her mom kept telling her that she was exactly like her dad, which to baby Rianne means I'm a fuck up who's going to abandon anyone who loves me. And so, I understand her freak out, absolutely. But her justification for the whole thing is Joss is alone and she's totally fine. So I will be too. And after this conversation with James, she finally is like, oh, no, Rianne's a totally different animal than me. And she calls her and she's like, I'm serious right now. You super fucked up and you need to fix it. Like, James is here. You need to fix it.
Yeah.
And Rianne decides to call him and yeah.
Yeah, and he goes skedaddling before the end of the night. And to go back to her, well, guess what? It is now morning, and unsurprisingly, Braden has showed up at their house again.
Braden's making coffee in her kitchen or something. Or she's making coffee and he walks in. I don't know.
Whatever. The thing I took out of it was that she came in and he called her babe, and she's like, don't ever fucking call me babe again. And then I don't know that he goes a single breath without calling her babe for the rest of the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am on record. This is not Melody hypocrisy. I am on record from the very beginning of the podcast that one of the things I've never been able to handle, never have had in a relationship is somebody defaulting to calling me babe as a pet name, because it drives me crazy. And I call my children babe. Mm-hmm. Like, that's, to me, they are children. I don't judge other folks, that's totally fine. But for me, I think maybe because it was an audiobook, right after she said, don't call me babe, don't ever call me babe, because that's her phrasing. Mm-hmm. He does it for the rest of the book, and it was so grating on my brain. A, because I don't like it in general, and B, because she expressly said, stop that.
He refuses to call her Joss, and he does nothing but call her babe. Braden, I'm going to need you to sit the fuck down.
And listener, I'm so sorry. I made the mistake of starting Devon and Chris plan a wedding. Okay. And there's a whole thing where Devon looks at Chris and says, I know you call everybody beautiful, but we need something special for me. And Chris goes home and thinks about it and immediately comes out with something special just for Devon. Okay. And that's a fake relationship. So what the fuck, Braden? Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's not fine.
Fine.
But anyway, so then we zippy zap, and we're not going to super dig into this the whole way through because there's a lot of scenes of it, but I really liked the therapy on Paige.
Yeah. Therapy on Paige was good.
Yeah. So she has decided that it's time to deal with the loss of her family, and she's decided to start seeing a therapist again for the first time in like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah. She wants to stop falling off of treadmills because of panic attacks.
Which, like, fair.
Yeah. Seems fine.
Anyway, then this is kind of a throwaway scene because, boy, we got a motor. But
yes,
oh my God, the minute Ellie got dizzy in that bookstore, immediately I was like, something bad is happening to Ellie.
Listener, my actual note is Chekhov's headache. And we were both such Sherlock Holmeses about it.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
I wasn't even shocked when it happened.
No, Chekhov's headache, okay? Ellie gets a headache, and that's going to come back. So now she's back at work, and Craig sees that the whole gang has come in, including Braden, and he's like, Mr. Moneybags over there is like looking at you like he wants to eat you, and your dessert only for him. And she's like, it's fine. And so then Craig grabs her by the back of the neck and lays a smooch to end all smooches on her.
I was not prepared.
I was not prepared. And also, listen, maybe this makes me a hypocrite, but I'm a slut for that.
I wasn't mad about it.
He didn't ask for consent. He didn't know about any of her boundaries, and I'm a slut for it. I know. Still.
We're sitting here pissed off at Brayden for calling her babe, and then Craig rolls in and shoves his tongue halfway down her throat, and we're like, yeah, I'm into it.
It's because Craig has a good heart, and you can tell. He's solid gold heart on this kid.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she takes a break.
She goes to break.
Yeah,
she's in the club office, okay? And then all of a sudden, Braden comes storming into that room, except it's not storming. It's very calm. He like opens the door and then shuts it behind him.
He's Mr. Ice.
And then he's like, do you like, I don't remember exactly what he said.
I do.
But go for it.
The very first words he says out loud to her is, I don't like to share.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right.
And she says, that's not what I've heard. And he says, let me rephrase, when it comes to you, I don't like to share. And then he does a giant makeout.
Yeah,
he just picks her up and puts her on the desk.
And at one point, he's like, you like that, babe? Do you like my hands on you? Or will any man's do? So then they have like this huge horny time, and then one of her other coworkers.
Okay, and they should fight. Because like, what the fuck, you asshole? She immediately is like, get off of me. Like, you can't talk to me like that. And he's like, no. Are you sleeping with Craig? And she's like, it's none of your business. And he says, I want to fuck you. And that makes it my business. And you want to be fucked by me. And so it's in your best interest to tell me whether or not you're sleeping with Craig. That's almost verbatim, listener. And she says, no, like he does a big makeout on her. And then she says, no, I'm not. And then, wow, he puts her up against a wall and stuff.
And then they get interrupted by one of her coworkers. And he's like, if Craig touches you again, I'm ripping his hands off. Like,
I will knock his teeth out.
Yep, that's exactly it. And she then ignores Craig for the rest of the night because she likes where Craig's teeth are. Good for her.
I hate it.
What? Which part?
This makes me a big giant hypocrite, okay? Was I fine with Death literally killing his romantic rival? Yes! I was fine with it.
What about the way I talked about that makes you think that I was okay with Braden saying this?
No, I'm just saying that like this makes me so mad. Because subgenre matters. And like there is nothing in Death's Obsession, that episode, at one point we're talking about the mental health professionals, and we're like, why didn't they at least like maybe check if it was just like a mortal man stalker? And the thread that I want to pull on that sentiment that I think really applies to this book is that IRL, outside of romance land, There is nothing scarier than a mortal man, okay?
Truth.
Never meet a mortal man. There's nothing scarier
Unless
than a
it's
mortal
through
man.
the safety of your windshield while you're screaming at your friend into the headphones.
While you're objectifying them verbally. No, I mean, and this is one of those times where he threatens to knock Craig's teeth out. And I'm like, that is not okay. And it's not sexy and it's not cool. But I'm totally fine with death literally killing someone.
Well, and like, it's also like this subgenre, it's not a dark romance either. Because
No,
like
it's
in
not.
like a dark romance, it's like, okay, well, yeah, it's kind of expected that you're going to knock someone's teeth out over me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
fuck it, whatever. But this is just a regular contemporary romance.
Yeah, and this is terrifying. In a contemporary romance, this is red flag terrifying. In a mafia romance, that's
fine.
weak sauce. We love it.
Yeah, I want to hear in depth about the creative tortures that you will bestow upon anybody who touches her. You know,
Wax poetical about how you will torture your romantic rivals. Absolutely. But yeah, I was pissed about this.
So then we do get a quote that was important to me, Sabrina, about how Brayden seemed when she's talking to Ellie the next day or like later that night or something. And she says about the fact that Brayden was seething over your kiss with Craig, that he followed you into the staff room and didn't come back for 20 minutes. And that when he did come back, he looked like he'd been mauled by a woman who'd been locked in an empty room without a vibrator or a man for 10 years. Yeah, pretty beautiful.
Accurate.
So then Ellie at some point says, oh my God. At some point, Ellie says, I love you, right?
Okay.
To Joss. She has a panic attack because she thinks about her best friend, Drew, who she thinks that it's her fault Drew is dead. Mm-hmm. Because she died 1 year. Her best friend died 1 year after she lost her entire family in a tragic car accident. What the fuck?
But just because that phrasing could be confusing, Drew did not die in a car accident. That was the family. Drew dies in a way that I would also blame myself for, were I Joss. Are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Do you hate me?
No.
Is that unreasonable?
I don't remember how Drew died.
Oh my God, Sabrina!
I don't, like, I was suddenly thinking, I was like, hang on. Wait.
Okay, let's tell listener. All right, I'll tell listener. Wait, first of all, when you said Sabrina, all I could think about is that you know your name backwards just on the fly, and so I need you to say it again.
Anirbas.
But what's also your last name?
Yeldarb. Yeldarb Anirbas.
Nervous Yeldarb. Fuck, that's still funny. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Listener,
that was great.
Listener, Mel's going to tell you all about
Sabrina,
how Drew died.
I'm so in love with you right now. Okay. So right after her parents died when she was 14, she goes wild. Okay. She goes into foster care. Foster care parents have too much on their plates. They don't pay any attention to her. And so she just runs buck wild. And she's partying all the time. Drew is also partying with her. And Drew has had this years-long crush on this kid named Kyle in their class. And like in different flashbacks, I really liked this. Kyle shows up and it's pretty clear that Kyle like flirts with both of them, Drew and Joss. And so they go to this party. Joss gets hammered. She's flirting with a football captain or something. And then Kyle comes over to her and says, I need to talk to you about something important. And he says, you're so much better than all of the dudes you're fucking to put a Band-Aid on your pain, basically. But he says it in teenage boy speak and not like that. But that's what she's doing. She's acting out. And so he says that he wants to be with her and he'll treat her so much better. And he sees how much she's worth. She's hammered, okay, remember. And they end up making out and then getting a little bit hot and heavy. And then Kyle stops it and says, you don't have to sleep with me to keep my attention. Like, I want to actually be boyfriend-girlfriend. And she says, I can't do that because Drew's in love with you. And then she like remembers that Drew's in love with him and like, this is Kyle. And she's like, oh God, and like walks away and can't do this anymore. But by the time she gets back to probably the bonfire, because that's how people in my high school partied, it's already gone around. Somebody saw them and Drew knows that they were making out. So then when she sees Drew trying to like fix it, Drew is like, you're the worst, you're a slut, you're a backstabber, all the business. And she goes running over to the river where there's a rope swing.
Oh, I do remember now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And so drunken, because Drew is also hammered and she's overreacting. Well, maybe she's just reacting, but like, let's not be dramatic around rivers, I guess.
When you're drunk.
Yeah.
And so rickety old swings.
Boy, she gets on this rope swing and Joss tries to stop her, but she swings out onto the river. It breaks. She goes into it and she's like struggling and she's yelling Joss's name. Joss tries to go in after her, but Kyle is there too. And he runs in and gets Joss and won't let her like go swimming down in the river. And then Drew's body washed up downstream because she drowned. Yeah. And like, I would also blame myself for that until the day I died.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd recover from that. I think I may have just like, my brain was like, you know what, Sabrina, we're just gonna purposefully block this out of your memory.
Yeah. Because like everybody else is very logically being like, it wasn't your fault, it was a tragic accident. And she's like, no, if I didn't make out with Kyle, she wouldn't have been a drama queen on the rope swing, okay? And like, that's a causal relationship, and I would think the exact same thing. There's no way I would ever change my mind about that. Anyway, so why did we tell them that? Oh, because Ellie says, like, we'll talk in the morning, but I love you. And she has a memory of her friend Drew saying, like, you're so crazy, but I love you. And she realizes that, like, she's actually letting these people in, even if she's not telling them everything yet. She's allowing this to be a much more significant relationship than she ever did before.
She has in years.
Hashtag justice for Rianne.
Yeah. So then Brayden, the next night, bribes Ellie out of their own apartment and shows up unexpectedly.
Wow.
And just comes in again. And he's like, we need to talk. And then they have a little bit of chitter chatter back and forth. And then very importantly, to me, he says, I want you in my bed. Gentlemen are boring in bed. And she says, gentlemen are gentlemen in bed. They make sure you're having a good time. And he says, I'll make sure you're having a good time and that you're okay with everything that we're doing. I just won't be well-mannered about it. And I was like, all right, buddy, let's fucking go. So he does propose a sexual relationship, which from Get is not just a sexual relationship.
I have several things to say about this. I don't mean to cut you off, but part of it is questions for you.
Okay.
When he walked into that apartment, he was going to propose an actual relationship, right? That's my take, is that he was going to be like, let's date. And when she looked at him and said...
That puts a whole nother flavor on this whole thing.
I swear to God, that's what that in my mind, like, that's how it went in my mind. Because, and you know why? It's a moment in this scene because she basically tells him, I don't date, I don't do relationships, period, the end. And then he looks at her and he like processes for a few seconds, it says. Like he looks at her for kind of a long time. And then he says, good thing I'm not proposing a relationship. I think he switched gears in this conversation in order to sneaky date her. And it's fucked up. When he proposes to her.
Okay, but like that makes so much sense for the rest of the entire book.
He proposes a friends with benefits situation in which maybe she'll go to like work functions with him because that should be part of the quote unquote arrangement. And so she's like, okay, I could probably do an arrangement, you know, like that because, you know, it's no strings. I find him hot as fuck. Our chemistry is insane. We both know that. So I would be okay with a friends with benefits situation as long as we both know where we stand. Meanwhile, he's thinking to himself, this is my in. This is my foot in the door. And then I'm going to show her how great a relationship with me would be. And I'm going to date her for 3 months and trick her into being with me.
So this is one of those moments where, like, IRL, this is so bad.
It's so bad.
I didn't have a problem with it in the book.
No, I know. But, like, he's so much older and he's so much more established. And, like,
So I think that a big part of this entire book is that it did not register to me how old he was compared to her until the very end. So even right now, I'm not, and like, you've reread the book. I have not. So, like, I only have like 3 chapters of knowing that he is 8 years older than her.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I don't know that the power imbalance registered quite as strongly for me as it did for you. This is actually super interesting because, like, I'm like deeply sensitive. I think that if I had known what if I had known and it's specifically an 8-year age gap when the one person is in their early 20s.
Yeah.
Because, like,
if one was 30, that would be nothing. I would be like, great.
Well, and it's a me specific thing. Like, it's specifically the 8-year age gap. It's like, it is specifically that situation. I think I would have had a lot more issues if I had realized what the age gap was for them.
Well, and it's funny because, like, with you, I'm always interested in talking to you about books that have possessive components in them or like jealousy components in them, because sometimes it works for you and sometimes it's like the biggest hard limit for you.
Well, yeah, it's like
I never really know.
Like a great example is that third Rebecca Weatherspoon book. Like, it's on Patreon, so like not all listeners heard it, but like that book, I had to put it down multiple times. Like, to anybody else, that is not a triggering book.
No,
for me, that book was trigger central. I almost couldn't finish it, and Mel was just going to read it and tell me about it.
Yeah,
and it's like, objectively,
it's not something that I would think about giving a content warning for.
And this is another one. I wouldn't even really consider this an age gap. Like, when I think age gap, I'm thinking like 10 plus years, you know? Like, this doesn't even necessarily count, like, register as an age gap in my mind. But if I had known from the very beginning that they had an 8-year age gap and she was 22 when they met, I would have really, really struggled. And I'm kind of glad I didn't know that until the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's one of those things where, like, it's a me specific that I'm aware of that, right? Like, it's that specific flavor of age gap.
Well, it's also interesting because when Joss talks with Ellie about it, because they have conversations about, like, is this going to be okay with you? And Ellie says, I know my brother and I know he's interested in you. And from what I hear, Brayden always gets what he wants. And at one point she's like, I think he's planning something to, like, you know, show you like what you're missing or whatever. And
so I did get the squick multiple times in this book with all of this awareness that he's planning something.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing, right? Is like, this conversation is a complete manipulation. And it works out in the end, so that's great, fine.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, I didn't register that it was a huge manipulation because I didn't take it as you, like, it didn't register to me that it was because he was looking for
an in. Yeah. Anyway, listen, she's like, great, let's do this.
And they agree to do it specifically for 3 months. There's a time limit on this. Because that's how that worked.
This is really weird.
And then they immediately jump straight into Horny Town. It's on TM, listener. Like, let's fucking go. Look, Samantha Young. Samantha Young can write a fucking heat scene. Like,
hey,
wow.
Samantha Young, you're doing your job.
Like, and for, like, example, like, there's just, like, some really good quotes in this. Like, babe, nice lingerie is for seducing a man. I'm already fucking seduced. Brayden, sir. Sir. But then I did get the squick in this scene.
Why?
Because he says Joss is a girl's name, possibly a tomboy's name.
Oh.
Jocelyn, on the other hand, is a woman's name, a really sexy woman's name. So strip Jocelyn, and I could have ripped the nutsack off of this man.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is what makes it okay for her that he will only call her Jocelyn no matter what. And I'm glad that works for her. I would be so mad.
This would be the end of that 3-month arrangement.
Yeah. I would be like, if you can't give me the dignity of calling me by my preferred name, if like you can't even do that for me, what are we doing here?
Like, yeah. We don't have time. Let's fucking go.
And also, like, she is kind of a tomboy.
Oh, like, she's absolutely a tomboy.
Yeah, especially compared to like the people he normally dates. And like, so you don't, he's always he's not always sending them, but she's always getting mixed signals about like what he's into and what he's not. And he always makes it very clear that like he's 100% into her and her body. But then he'll say shit like, I don't want to fuck a tomboy in lines like that. And it's like, that's what I am. I don't really, you know, I don't know. It's
so whatever. Then they have some really hot sex.
God, and it's hot. And as he like enters her, he's like, oh my God, babe. Oh my God, babe. So tight. God, you're so tight. And she is like, yeah, it's been a while. And he says, how long? And she says, talking about our sexual histories was not part of the agreement. And he says, how long? And she says, 4 years. And he's like he almost comes right there. He's so hot for it. He's like, wow, this is amazing.
Then I have a question for you.
Okay, I hope it's the same one that I do because I really need to talk about it with you. Go ahead.
Is it the sleeping versus spooning situation?
No, it's not. Go ahead.
Okay, so and maybe this is just a me thing. I just like snuggling. I like spooning. You know what I mean? And so she's very much like, okay, we fucked, now get out. And when she gets back from cleaning up in the bathroom,
she expects him to be dressed.
Gone.
Goodbye.
And he's just naked in the bed. And then he basically like talks her into spooning and cuddling.
Yeah, he pulls her into the bed.
Yeah.
And he spoons her and she's like, this is not part of it. We said sex and business functions.
Yeah. And then this is when this is the conversation where he's like,
he says, I'm not leaving yet. And she says, well, you're not sleeping in my bed, though. You're not sleeping with me. And all he keeps on saying is, go to sleep, babe.
He says, we fuck, we have fun, and then we spoon. I don't go home. I don't go home because sometimes in the middle of the night, I wake up, and when I wake up, I want to fuck. And for some baffling reason,
this is hilarious.
The person I want to fuck is you. Now, I'm only going to say this one more time. Go to sleep. And then she's like, well, that's not how this works, though. I don't give a shit if you wake up in the middle of the night. And he's like, you're going to like it when I show you how I'm going to be waking you up. And then he does go down on her like a champ.
He goes down
and I was like,
real good. And like, I'm not arguing with that. You know?
Hey, I'm not mad about it.
I would also just spoon right up and go to sleep.
That's my thing is like, as long as you're a quiet enough sleeper, fuck yeah, hold me. Just spoon me up. We don't need to be in a relationship. Frankly, I don't want us to be in a relationship, but I do want a spoon, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think Joss can sense that this is a slow
more for him,
sneaky relationship. And she's like, I don't want to do any of the things that would signal to him that I want this with him, from him. She is not going to send a mixed message, and he won't let her make those choices. He's like, this is the conversation in which he says, I bought the fucking bed.
Yeah.
And like that, listen, it was hot, but also I have many problems with it.
I have so many problems, but also I fucking loved this book.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the thing you had questions about that you wanted to talk about?
Okay. Listener, trigger warning for discussions of past uncomfortable sexual experiences or maybe sexual assault.
Are we talking about the thing that caused her to not have sex after 18?
Yeah. So we find this out, like she sort of slow rolls it throughout the book, but basically she was no longer wild after Drew died, but she did go out every single year on her family's death day and get hammered and just like, you know, try to obliterate her mind, right? And so on her 18th year of that day, she goes out, gets obliterated, and then wakes up in bed with two guys she doesn't know, had never met before.
And she has no memory of the night before.
No memory whatsoever. And later on, she says that she was scared. She was angry with herself. She was scared. She was violated.
Yeah.
And she decided that she just was not gonna
She wasn't gonna do that anymore.
Sex ever again, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never explicitly talked about as a sexual assault.
No.
In fact, at some point, he asks, why did it take so long? She won't answer him. And then he says, did somebody hurt you? And she says, no.
Yeah.
And I was confused, but also 2013?
It is definitely coded as sexual assault. And she acknowledges it in the book. She acknowledges it when she talks to her therapist about it. Like, it's very clear that, like, she can't use those terms. Well, so maybe it's not her coding it that way, but the book definitely codes it as an assault.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because she says, I'm not going to do that with Braden. And I told you why I'm not going to do that with Braden. And then the therapist is like, but that's completely different. Like, you know, Braden, you didn't know those people. And I don't know. I guess I was just so confused about why it was never said and was also denied. Like, nobody hurt her.
I would just chalk that up to 2013.
Is that 2013? Yeah. Okay. I can maybe go with that.
Yeah.
It was just so weird to me because
I did.
And she was doing a lot of self-blame.
I didn't think it was weird.
Okay.
Like,
I can
and
see
maybe,
that too. Like,
and maybe it's
not to name it that makes it.
I think that it just depends on the person.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And
you know
where
what? She's a denier.
Frankly, I was just going to say, and frankly, where you are in therapy.
Yeah.
And how much you have worked through things. I think that it is not outside of the realm of possibility that she would acknowledge it was an assault years later. And she might never because it happened so long ago.
Sure.
But like, I know, I mean, like, full disclosure, I've been assaulted in my life and it took years to be able to acknowledge it as that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like, I was not, that didn't take, I noted it, but like, it didn't take me out of it because I was like, yeah, I could see that. Okay.
That's fair. I think my confusion and my discomfort with it wasn't necessarily her, decision on whether or not to label it. My discomfort with it was, am I reading what I think I'm reading? You know what I mean? Like, am I actually seeing the code that's there? Or am I completely misinterpreting this because nobody will say what I think it is? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm with you now. I'm with you. Okay. We're going to get back to sexy stuff. So then he says to her, get Thursday night off. We have a business meeting. We have a business dinner. And she says, okay. She gets all gussied up. She buys a new dress for it for the first time in her whole life. And she has her hair down, okay? Because she's a tomboy who always wears her hair in like a messy bun without makeup. And she puts a little bit of makeup on and her hair is down. He shows up and he's like flabbergasted.
Hang on. I'm so sorry. I had to do some scrolling to figure out where we were. There was a scene that was a great example of why I was pissed at him at this part of the book.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Because she tells him, I have work tonight. And he's like, okay, I'll come over after work. And she's like, no, you won't. And then she gets home from work and he is just laying on Ellie is not home. And he is asleep on the fucking couch. And then she just leaves him there, good for her, and goes to bed and wakes up in the middle of the night to him spooning her.
And like in their conversation, she pushes back so much. And she says, I need space. And he says, we have 3 months. There's no time for space. And then by the end of the conversation, she's like, I'm going to be dead from work. I'm not going to be up for any sex. And he said, yeah, but in the morning you would. And so she says, great, come over in the morning.
Yeah.
Come over in the morning. We'll fuck. Awesome.
I'm so fucking angry.
He stomps all over her space again. And is just in her house sleeping,
and you know what?
living there.
Good for her, because when she wakes up in the middle of the night, she straight up kicks him out of bed so hard that he falls on the floor.
I was so happy about that.
I was so fucking happy.
Yeah, it was great.
And then they did get into some fun, sexy times
then
after
it was,
that.
they really talked it through, and then they dicked it out, and it was great.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. So,
then
anyway.
He says, business dinner. He shows up. Then he says, put up your hair. And she's like, I look great. What are you talking about? And he says, babe, I like knowing that I'm the only one who knows how beautiful your hair is when it's down. It's for me. And so she puts her hair up, and I was conflicted about that, because on the one hand, it's fine, and on the other hand, is it a red flag? Who knows?
To be clear,
what?
Brayden is a walking red flag this entire book. Okay,
I know. and I think this is another example of me just not being an alpha hero kind of gal. Maybe.
He straddled the line for me.
Okay.
There were a couple of times where I was like, this is too much.
You know what? I think because the fun thing for me about an alpha hero is that so many times what goes along with that trope is them not being in touch with their feelings and like not being able to identify their feelings or whatever, And so it makes it so they're not as manipulative normally. And so for him to be alpha, but also so in touch like with his feelings and so emotionally intelligent, I think it just makes him so much more dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can see that. I can see that for sure.
Anyway, okay. Then they show up at this restaurant, okay, for a business dinner.
And
it's a
he
table
has,
for two.
in fact, tricked her into a date at a fancy French restaurant.
He says, I didn't say what business. Sir, I specifically told you I refuse to go on a date with you. And then she tries to get up and he says, like really low so that nobody could possibly hear, if you get up, I will tackle you. That's terrifying. What the fuck? But then he makes it all better for me, Melody, because he makes several blowjob jokes. Okay, and that's hilarious. I don't know.
Wait, hang on. Oh no, I highlighted some of it, but not enough of it. Damn it! I wanted those. What's the blowjob joke?
Okay, for some reason she needs to make something up to him. I think it might be because she tries to run away from his date. He says, "You better wrap that filthy mouth around my cock tonight." And so then she's like, "Oh, I cannot believe that you just said that. Like,
especially
you can't
be. The waiter is right there.
Not yet." She says, "You can't be serious." And then the waiter sidles up and he goes, "Babe, you should know I never joke about blowjobs."
Well, and then the waiter is like, "So what are you having?" And she looks that waiter dead in his beautiful face and says, "Apparently sausage." Ma'am, do not bring him into this.
No, great work. Great. 10 out of 10 just. And like Brayden does a spit take and he looks at her and he laughs and he says, "You're so fucking sexy." And the waiter is even more uncomfortable, but it's also so cute.
If not for Brayden being occasionally such a fun little cinnamon roll,
yeah,
I think I couldn't have done this book, right? Like, I think I would have hated him, but like he's really fun a
lot of the time.
He's so fun and he's so witty and he's so sweet
and he's so understanding about her emotional.
God, I'm into Brayden. And I'm not sorry about it.
No, I know. Same. But I'm also so mad at him so often.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on. We learn about his ex-wife and how he got fucked over in the past. They were together for a couple of years. They got married, and then he walked in on her and
one of his good friends.
Yeah, one of his best friends in bed. And turns out she'd been cheating for 6 months. They'd only been married for like a year and a half, 2 years or something like that. And then she just fucked off to Australia after getting divorced. And he has, quote unquote, I've spent the last 6 years creating new memories all over the city,
so hot.
Building over the mess she left behind. The same is true with Dublin Street. The flat you're in was a mess, a shell on a street poisoned with betrayal. I wanted to create something beautiful in a place of all the ugliness. And I was like,
it's so hot.
Yeah, I was into it. Regain your space.
Yeah, because the place that he walked in on her was on Dublin Street. So, like, that's where the betrayal happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, God, it's hot. And
then
she agrees because she's take me home.
Well, in this entire book, she is, like, oscillating between I fucking hate everything about you and also, like, I can't help but feel things for you.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
because she's so conflicted.
She oscillates between... I'm gonna stick to my boundaries because this is how I survive. This is how I emotionally survive. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you make it so hard because you're so great. And like, that's completely understandable.
That's a mood.
And that's like in good, healthy situations, that is growth, right?
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that it does turn out to be growth. When we know the HEA and we know it's a romance novel and all this stuff. But like in contemporary times, in IRL, if this was happening with a friend, I would be like 18 red flags.
Get the fuck out of there.
Oh, and I do love this. I don't remember when it happens in the book, but he says something and she says, my heart and my mind are warring because like, oh no, my mind is saying, run, and my body won't let me because I'm so into him. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're a little digmatized. And I'm so glad it works out, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so happy.
But without a fucking crystal ball, this is terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. So then he takes her home. They have some more beautiful, sexy times. She stays the night.
And something changes in this sex. Like, yes. they do soul sex, you know?
Yes. They fucked each other's souls.
Yeah. They did a soul intertwine during doggy, and that's how it went.
Unsurprisingly, she's freaked out. He goes to take a shower, and she jets.
Oh my God. She fucks off, and it's hilarious.
So he texts her.
I was so into this. I was like, yes, you get your beautiful ass out of there.
Yeah. So, and then she gets home and has just a text message from him that says, whatever the fuck that was, don't do it again. We'll talk. Sir, I'm going to need you to take 2 steps back.
Yeah. And like, again, totally understandable. But with their power dynamic and age difference, that sounds like a dad talking to a child, you know? In any other book, I would be like, that is a healthy person setting some boundaries. In this context, I was like, ooh, no. Oh, no.
Don't. Oh.
That's what it sounds like. Read it again.
No, I can't. I'm never looking at that quote again. In fact, I'm going to go unhighlight it out of my book.
That's the thing, right? So then she's at home. She's talking with Ellie, and then she hears the front door slam and his footsteps coming through their house. And he just opens the door and Ellie goes, hey, Brayden. And he looks at Joss and he says, bedroom now. Once again, that is a little paternalistic for me, Melody, in this situation. Regardless.
I hate that.
She follows him like a good little girl back to her room.
I hate you.
And she says, you have to stop talking to me like that. You have to stop bossing me around, basically. And he's like, cool thought. And and this is where it is totally understandable. He's like, I don't know what's going on, but I really need you to stop treating me like a one-night stand that you can't get rid of and like you're ashamed of. And she's like, okay, I can see how my actions would send that message. In reality, it's because she was having too many feelings and she was too into him. And that's why she had to run away. But she's like, okay, I can see how that might hurt you. And then he looks at her, and this is another one, Sabrina. He says, I thought you were more mature than this. And he says, I guess not. And then there's like a silence between them. She doesn't say anything. And then he goes, never mind, it's over. Get the Saturday after next off. I need you to come to my club for blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay. And then he leaves without touching her or saying goodbye or anything. He just walks past her, out the door and out the front door. Mm-hmm. Like, think about those events with the context of their stations in life. So I thought you were more mature than this. I guess not. Get off of work 2 Saturdays from now.
So anyway, you're not wrong,
And
Mel.
then she texts him and she says, I'm sorry. And like, again, totally understandable that he would not like what she did. And he definitely is owed an apology. But the way we got here sucks, in my humble opinion.
Can
we skip to that night? Is that okay? Because we got a motor, dude.
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. So we're going to skip to when they do that club situation. She gets off of work. She goes, she's all dolled up. She's in like a mini dress with a backless situation. And when she walks in, he's like, what the fuck are you wearing? And she's like, what? I look good. Well, I don't know what he's talking about, but like that hurts my feelings. And then when she goes to go away, he catches her by the waist and he's like, I'm just mad because you look good enough to eat. And like all the guys out there are gonna look at you or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she says, well, good thing that you're the only one I'm going home with. And he's like, yeah. Then he spends all night working and ignoring her. And Ellie tells her that he invited a bunch of his former bitches.
Yeah.
And like, it's girlfriends and fuck buddies, former fuck buddies. And he specifically told her that he's never had a fuck buddy situation before. And we never come back to that. And I don't understand. You know?
I don't think that he sees them as fuck buddy situations.
Okay, so Ellie is putting a different name on it.
Yeah.
But she says girlfriends and fuck buddies. So like, what's the difference in their arrangement to Braden? You know what I mean?
I think that for Braden, it's like, I don't know that he thinks of fuck buddy as like a short term, mostly sexual. Because like they definitely did things, right?
Well, with girlfriends, right? Definitely.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, maybe he just didn't bring them around to Ellie.
Okay, maybe. You know? Yeah. Anyway, so she's like, I'm just watching him flirt with people that I know he's sexually attracted to and has been before. That sucks. So she's on the dance floor, and then Gavin, the trainer, comes over, the one that saved her from that rabid treadmill. He comes over.
And turns out Gavin is the guy who fucked his ex-wife.
Oh my God.
And Braden straight up punches Gavin in the face
multiple times.
Like just
lays
wailing
him out.
When Braden gets a punching.
Yeah, he can't stop a punching.
He can't stop a punching.
Oh my God. Yeah, and then he grabs her by the wrist. Oh. And then Gavin like really turns into an absolute fucker. And he's like, whoa, I've wanted into her panties for weeks. And then he's like, I hope history repeats itself. And like, you want to come and shag a real man or whatever? And then Braden punches him again because obviously it's like a gauntlet thrown. Yeah. But then he grabs her by the wrist and drags her into his office.
It's one of those things where I didn't realize just how hard I whimsied this book until right now when I'm talking to you.
He drags her by the wrist.
Well, she's been... Never mind, I'm not going to say that. But anyway, yeah, you're not wrong.
Into the office. Anyway, and so he's like, that is the guy that fucked my wife and betrayed me. And she's like, how am I to know that? That's Gavin, the trainer from my gym. Like, what? I didn't know. I couldn't have known. And then he says, yeah.
And then convinces her to switch gyms. Maybe it's not right now, but they start going to the same fucking gym. So that she stops going to that one.
Yeah. Interesting, right?
Stop it. Whimsy. So,
Terrifying,
moving on.
Right? Wait. And then, but importantly, during this conversation, he says something about...
Mel's like, I loved this book. Listen to me break down why Brayden is a fucking predator.
No, I love him still. I love him because it works out, but like without a crystal ball, he's objectively terrifying. Okay. Okay, wait, no, importantly, and this is me coming to bat for Brayden, all right?
Okay.
He's like, why the fuck are you flirting with other guys in the first place? Like, what are you doing? We're exclusive. And she's like, me? You asked me to get off work and then come to this bullshit, and then you ignore me the whole time and only talk to people that you fucked before? Like, is this me getting laid off early, Brayden? And he immediately deflates and he's like, oh my God, no. That's not what was happening. That was legitimately work. I really wanted to have a really successful night because of this DJ or whatever. And he says, I did not mean to hurt you and I'm sorry. And then she says, you didn't hurt me. You can't hurt me. You don't have the power to hurt me. And then he's like, don't you lie to me. And like they do a big makeout and maybe a sex on a desk.
I think that there was sex on the desk.
They definitely did sex on that desk. Yeah.
At some point in the book.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, they end up having this conversation about how he wants more.
Yes.
And she's like, you can't have more. And then, don't worry, listener, Chekhov's headache comes back.
Wait, no, I'm so sorry. No. These are two totally separate events that have to be talked about separately. And I know that we are 2 hours in. Okay, I know. But it was really important to me. Okay, first of all, when they come to like the end of the 3 months, then we have like a montage of them going to the same gym and like basically just enmeshing both of their lives. They're inseparable now. They're dating. They're sneaky dating, okay? So the 3 months is over and he's like, our arrangement is coming to an end next week. How do you feel about that? And she's like, well, how do you feel about it? And he's like, I am the more open one in between the two of us. Like, I can answer this question, no problem right now, but I need you to answer it first or two. And then he's like, yeah, because I want more, basically. And she's like, well, yeah, I'd be fine, ripping up the arrangement or, the contract or whatever. And then he says, okay, what if I suggested that we stop pretending that we're not dating? And she's like, yeah, okay, maybe. So now they're together. All right. Then they're sitting on the couch later on and he's planning vacations 3 months down the road. They're doing all the things. And then he tickles her. He tickles her and tickles her and tickles her.
Until she farts. He was such a good sport about it. It was so cute.
Horrified. And he is delighted.
He's like, this is the cutest little fart I've ever heard in my entire life. I wish I could bottle this fart and keep it in my pocket.
And also, like, it's so, I've never seen you embarrassed before. And the fact that this is the thing that embarrasses you is hilarious to me. It's just a fart.
It was adorable.
But then Chekhov's headache comes.
Yeah. Ellie's having a seizure. So turns out Ellie has cancer in her brain parts.
She's got a tumor.
Yeah. And Joss can't handle it.
She
straight up leaves.
Joss is like, I did this to myself. I let them in. I was not an android. I was a human person.
Bad things follow me.
Bad things happen to people I love, right? Freaks out and breaks up with him. And he convinces her to like be there for Ellie. And then she's like, okay, but also we're breaking up.
So he says to her, I need you. And she looks that beautiful man dead in the face and says, I didn't ask you to need me. And he says, you love me. I've seen it. And she says, I care about you. There's a big difference.
And her inner monologue is like, I gotta buck up for this lie I have to tell, this terrible, really tough lie.
Because she's been talking with her therapist about the fact that she has way stronger feelings for Brayden than she's admitting to him.
They're like best friends and she's in love with him and all the things.
By the way,
yeah,
this is where I was sobbing.
Of course.
I was not okay.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
The sky is falling right now.
Yeah. Oh, God. So he's there the next month. And he, frankly, was such a good sport.
He walks away from her. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then she's like, you're going to let me go? And he says, apparently I never had you. And then he walks away.
He is there the next day. He's making breakfast for Ellie. Everyone's
and
figuring out. Yeah, for everybody. But this is so awful because Ellie's like, you're clearly not talking to each other. What happened? Brayden sighed. She doesn't love me, and I think she's an untrustworthy cold bitch. Now get in the shower. And I was like, damn, Brayden.
This conversation, Sabrina, this is emotional terrorism.
Yeah. Because they're saying nothing but terrible, awful, horrible things to each other.
She is not. No, take it back.
Oh, it's all him. It's all him. It's all him. Yeah.
She is notably not.
I remember there was something. I don't remember exactly what it was. I don't know.
Do you want
Whatever.
me to tell you word for word what this scene was? Because I can.
No, don't fucking do that. We're
motoring. It was
emotional
terrorism.
He does, but then he does do the fucked up thing and says that he fucked somebody else last night.
Yeah. He says, I would kick you out of Ellie's life right now. And she's like, how can you say that? And he's like, I don't give a fuck about you. In fact, I fucked somebody else last night. And then she freaks out, starts crying, and throws a plate at him.
Oh.
This is not healthy.
No, nothing about this is healthy. I think I'm conflating her saying something with throwing a plate.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Sure. Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever.
She throws a plate at him.
As far as I was concerned, reading this entire interaction, I was like, both of you need therapy. You need couples therapy is what you fucking need. Like,
yeah. Or you need to like walk away forever.
Walk away from each other?
Forever.
Yeah.
So anyway, after she throws that plate, she's sobbing and she's like, I hate you. And he bear hugs her to like keep her from assaulting him, I think. And then he says, no.
Well, and
babe,
he feels so bad.
No, it's not. I lied. I just wanted to provoke you and see if you had feelings for me because I knew you were lying about not loving me.
And he says, like, I know you love me, Jocelyn, because there's no fucking way I can be this much in love with you and not have you feel the same way. It's not possible.
That is a terrifying statement.
Yeah. And then, no, worse, he says, I love you. You're mine. I'll kill any bastard who tries to take you from me. So here's how it's going to go. Ellie comes first, but while we're taking care of her, you can be as pig-headed as you want and pretend that we're broken up. I'll even let you. But I'm also going to be here every day showing you what you're missing. Sir, I'm going to need you to take like 15 steps back and a seat.
He says, you can pretend we're broken up, but I'm not. That's not a thing. Yeah. We're not together. Or we're not broken up. I'm with you. You're with me. It's a whole thing. And she's like, you're delusional. And then Ellie says, no, he's not. Ellie like comes in a towel or some shit. And she's like, no, he's not. He's fighting for what he wants. And like, again, this works out because she does in fact love him. But
if she didn't,
fuck, dude.
If she did this book, you change a couple of key things about this book. And this is a thriller. It's a horror thriller.
Yes.
And then don't worry, though. Adam comes out of nowhere and is confessing his love about Ellie.
Oh, yeah. So Adam's here now and they're going to be together and stuff. Ellie doesn't have cancer. She has
It's just a cyst with some tumors on it.
With some benign tumors. She has it removed from the top of her brain. It's a perfect surgery. They're all there for her. But before her surgery, Ellie says, hey, okay, so first of all, after doing a bunch of, love bombing and touching and all the stuff, suddenly he's not really around anymore.
I was so fucking mad at Ellie, by the way.
Oh, yeah. This was bananas. This was
Jocelyn.
This was something
this entire family is toxic.
This is something I would never even think about doing, but also when she does it and Jocelyn has the exact opposite reaction that she wants her to, how does Ellie not just say, I lied, or tell Brayden that she did this horrible thing so that he can disabuse her of this notion? Anyway, so Ellie says, you really need to stop fucking around and just get back with Braden because like you might miss your chance. And she's like, what are you talking about? Because I'm not fucking around. I think this is legitimately healthier for Braden because I'm a walking nuclear bomb and nobody should have to deal with my emotional baggage. Yeah. And Ellie's like, no, that's not true. You're wonderful. But also, he has this new manager at the club, and she is everything that you're not. And she is so smart. And they were kind of all over each other when we had lunch together.
And Joss's response is, I broke up with him because he deserves to find someone decent and normal. And now I don't have to feel guilty about it because I was right all along. He doesn't love me. You're not into someone else after just breaking up with the love of your life, right? This is good. And so Joss takes that as like validation that she made the right choice.
And like, yeah.
Ellie, my girl.
And so Ellie is like, wait, no, that's not why I told you this. And
Joss is like, too fucking late.
And then Ellie's like, she just says, shit. And then walks away and doesn't do a single thing to fix it.
Nope. So Joss has now decided that she's going to finally fly back to the U.S., fly back to Virginia to take care of her family stuff, right? And she is going to go visit their graves, and she's thinking about moving there permanently, like moving back to Virginia permanently.
Specifically because she can't watch him move on with
stand the idea
woman.
Of watching Braden be with somebody else. And I'm like, girl.
Like, you can't not watch him from Glasgow? Like, you don't have to leave the country to not be in Braden's orbit.
Oh my God, that didn't even cross my mind. I was like, yeah, that tracks. Let's go to Virginia. Bye.
You haven't lived in the States for 8 years, ma'am. For your entire adulthood. Sorry, 4 years.
4 years.
For her entire adulthood. Sabrina, she doesn't know how to drive on the right side of the road. Yes. You're just going to go back to the States.
Well, guess what? Live in a big city and it's not a problem, right? Well, you don't have to be able to drive in a bit. But she's going from fucking bumfuck Virginia.
Yes. Oh, my God. Anyway,
okay, I'm so sorry. Richmond, Virginia is not bumfuck Virginia.
No, but her hometown is. Her hometown is like out of the city. Anyway, listener, in between all of these things, there's like hospital times, and Braden keeps on like texting her and trying to get together with her. And he's like, we need to talk. He keeps on going by the apartment, hoping to just walk in on her naked. But she's basically living in a bench. She's like living on a bench so that she doesn't have to be at the apartment ever.
So she doesn't have to go home.
Yeah.
So then she finds out that Ellie's back from the hospital. Everything is fine. Surgery is taken care of. And she finds out that Ellie lied about the lunch with Isla and Braden.
Yeah, because he walks into her room and he's like, hey, I've been trying to give you space, but like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, I've tried to get a hold of you. And she's like, me? Because he says, are you dating someone else? Because I swear to God, I'll kill him. And she's like, yeah, me? I'm not the one who's fucking their manager.
So they have this whole jealousy conversation, and then he finds her plane ticket, asks where she's going. She says, I'm going home, and he gets pissed off and storms out. And then okay, I have a question for you, Mel.
Please ask it. I think it's the same one I have.
She realizes that he took her plane ticket and goes to confront him. And all I can think is, girl, why'd you already print it out in the first place? You print out your plane tickets?
But also, like, this is so telling of what she actually wants. Because on the way there, she acknowledges that she can just print it out again.
I know! I was literally, because my first thought, I was like, girl, you do not have to go after him. And then she thinks it in her brain. She's like, I could just print out another ticket, but like, I'm going to go confront him.
It's the principle of the thing.
So she shows up, gets to his apartment, gets let in, and then right in front of her, he tears it up and she screams, I hate you. I was fine before you. Just let me be broken.
And then she launches herself at him and is like hitting him in the chest. And he like grabs her and he's like, you're not broken. You've just got some like chips or whatever. It's not great.
These two people, if either of them were my friend, I'd be like, you two are not together.
It's couples counseling or bust. Like, you got to get the fuck out of there.
You are too volatile. But then they do end up having some really hot sex on the couch.
Right.
Makeup sex. And then they go snuggle.
It's like anger sex and then makeup sex and stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it was hot. So
it was hot. And then she tells him everything.
Yeah.
She tells him about her family. He already knows about Drew. Like, she divulges everything. And then she says, I was going back to Virginia to, like, say goodbye to my parents. And then he's like, oh, my God, babe, the ticket. And she's like, I can reprint it. And he's like, oh, okay. And then she says, I was going to move there. No. First, this is hilarious to me. I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay.
She says, and I was planning on, like, maybe staying. And then he says, over my fucking dead body. And she's like, I thought you might say that. And then he looks at her and he goes, I'm still inside you. And she's like, yeah, I can feel that. And he's like, well, at least let me pull out before you tell me that you're leaving me. That's hilarious.
Okay.
That is charming. Sorry.
When I read that scene, I thought my brain was going to explode out of my ears.
It's so funny. Funny.
It was beautiful.
Anyway, then she asks him to go to Virginia and he's like, yeah. And the end of the book is them doing that. And then the epilogue is them getting married.
And they're together forever.
2 years later.
I really hope that they went to couples therapy, you know?
And Rian is a bridesmaid. So apparently they are still friends of a sort.
Mm-hmm.
The end. I really liked Buck.
I loved Buck. And like I said, I am chomping because I wanted to start second book. So this is what I run into when it takes me multiple days to read a book for a pod, is I'll get like halfway through and I'm like, I just want to blow through some of this. And let me just jump into the second book, right? Let me just jump into what comes next. And like, I'll come back to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was so hard not to do that for the second book. And so guess what? I'm going to go read that. I'm
really excited to hear about Joe. I think I do want to read Craig's book because I will die for Craig.
Why do I love Craig so much?
He's just such a dopey puppy.
Yeah.
Craig is so cute. Okay, Sabrina, what's your lady love?
My lady love is lemon lime Gatorade.
Ooh.
So I go through phases where I just really love a sports drink. And I'm in one of those phases. And last time I was sick, I bought a bunch of the tiny bottles, right? Because I only like Gatorade or all of those things when they're like ice cold. And so a big one, I can't get through that usually before it's warmed up. And so the tiny ones are just so good for that. And boy, I have been just chugging these puppies and I have no regrets. It's delicious. And so my lady love is that.
Nice.
What's your lady love, Melody?
I'm trying to find it. I meant to find it earlier. So today I went to a couple of workout classes and the music was ridiculous and wonderful. Okay. It was like the best. It was the best. So it's like it was specifically tailored to the basic older millennial. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called, it is a SoundCloud, and I don't do a SoundCloud, so I have to figure out how to get this music. It's a SoundCloud.
It's an app that you can download.
Excellent. Okay. It is a SoundCloud playlist, and the artist's name is Two Friends Big Booty Mixes. And it's an EDM remix of like every single song you love as a basic millennial, plus a bunch of other shit that you might not even have like heard of, but it's like nostalgia, and it comes out of nowhere because it's one of those mixes where it'll only do like an 8 count or a 16 count or like one chorus or one hook from a song that you know. And so the moment that you're like, oh shit, it's that song, then it switches gears into another song that you're like, oh my God, it's that song. I lost my fucking mind. The one that I listened to was 2F Big Booty Mix Volume 11 by Two Friends.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I just found them.
I haven't gone down the rabbit hole, but god darn it, I lost my mind. during this workout class. I was like singing while holding planks and stuff. Like it made the workout class so much better and easier.
That sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I love this.
Yeah, so I'm going to figure out how to get it on my phone as an older millennial who doesn't know how to do anything. Okay.
Yeah, you should be fine.
Hey, great. All right. Keep being a badass.
And love yourself as much as you love therapy.
Keep being a badass and love yourself as much as you love crystal balls.
Okay.
What was a fun... Keep being a badass and love yourself as much as you love getting caught ogling a bunch of youths with sexy tattoos.
Fucking dare you! To be clear, a youth is over 18. Okay? Oh my God. The minute I saw your face light up, I was like, fuck, she's going back to the car wash.
That's where she's going.
I fucking knew it. Bye. You fucking asshole.
Heaving Bosoms is produced by us, Melody Carlisle and Sabrina Bradley. Editing is done by Melody Carlisle.
Our theme music is by the incredible singer-songwriter Brittany Fonts, and our art is by ultra-talented author Kate Pryor. If you like our show, remember to follow us on your favorite podcast app, rate us 5 stars, leave a nice review, and of course, tell all your friends about us, even if they don't read romance.
If you want to get in touch, you can email us at heavingbosomspodcast@gmail.com. If you want more of us, visit patreon.com/heavingbosomspodcast. You can also find us on Instagram @heavingbosoms, on TikTok @heaving_bosoms, and in our Facebook group, the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult.
Head over to our website to sign up for our newsletter, get our Reading Embrace printable, and check out my audiobooks at heavingbosoms.com. All right, we'll be back next week with more swoons and snark. See you then.